Hello everybody, thanks for returning to my intermittent channel. As you can see from the title of this video, this is part 2 of our trip to Scotland, and as I'm editing it I'm realising, probably because I was with the family, that I'm not really saying much to camera at all. And another reason is this holiday had such a big impact on me, so I thought I'd do some voiceovers and a bit to camera about the unexpected impact that it had, and share it with you guys. As you know, or may know, my family is completely Scottish. My parents were both brought up in Dundee, and when they got married they moved to Glasgow for a bit because of my dad's work, and that's where I was born, in Glasgow. Then we moved to Edinburgh when I was about 3 or 4, and then my brothers came along a bit later. There's a bit of an age gap between me and my brothers, so they were both born in Edinburgh. And then when I was 11 we moved to Surrey because my dad got a job in London. But my dad used to come back to Scotland a lot. We would come back to stay with grandparents, but my dad was a mountaineer. He was a Munro completer. He was really passionate about climbing and walking and the spectacularity of the Highlands, as you can see in this video, how spectacular they are. And also he was a piper, and he's passed that on to my brother Malcolm. So that's a bit of a background about our family. And me and my brothers hadn't been back to Scotland together since I was about 19. So Malcolm would have been 11 and Angus would have been 9. And this just brought home to me how Scottish I am. And then just the connection with my brothers as well. It was just like so natural. It was just such a relaxed time. And I don't know, there was just so much felt like, oh yes, we're home, about being in Scotland. Just different foods and just things that were just so kind of familiar that I'd completely forgotten about. But something that it awakened in me was just the whole connection with the landscape and the Highlands. I did actually do a trip with my dad for a school reunion that he had, and I have edited the first part of that, where we arrived in Scotland and had a look around Dundee, and then the second part was his actual reunion. And then I didn't upload that. I was thinking that I would run it by the people that were at that reunion first, and then the third part I haven't uploaded either, and I might go ahead and upload that because I've been editing it recently. It was basically my dad wanting to revisit the Highlands. He probably knew it was the last time, and we did a road trip and stayed in bed and breakfasts, and it was very spectacular, but it didn't have the impact that this trip had. I was more accompanying my dad, going down memory lane, and I was really noticing how much he talked about the fact that he was a Munro completer, and I hadn't realised that it meant that much to him. One of the things that me and my brothers wanted to hang on to after we cleared his house was his climbing logbooks, and I've got them at the moment, and I think once I've read them and maybe typed out extracts from them, I'll pass them around to my brothers. And initially on this trip, as you can see from the end of the last video, the drive through the Glencoe area is just amazing. On the way I was driving, so I didn't do any filming, but in this video, as we leave Skye, I was videoing because Ben was driving, and you can just see how amazing it is. I think it was particularly amazing at that time because I've watched other videos of people doing the West Highland Way, and when they come through that whole Glencoe part of it, the grass and the vegetation is quite brown, it seems, most of the time. But while we were there, it was emerald green. So I think it had been raining a lot and then the sun had come out. So the vegetation was so vibrant. It was magical, really. But anyway, where I'd never been before was Skye, and my brother Malcolm had organised it, and my cousin, who we met up with at the end of this Skye trip, he was saying, well, what do you want to go to Skye for? It's just full of tourists. But that was part of the fun, observing the tourists. But there were some really spectacular places. We knew that we wanted to go to the fairy pools, a typical tourist thing to do. But something that we didn't even know about was the Fairy Glen. And it is surreal. So we just saw a signpost, Fairy Glen, so we turned down it. And if you've watched my brother's video, which I linked in the last video, and I'll link it again, he was saying it's a bit like Teletubby Land, and it was really surreal and beautiful. And the wildness and the ruggedness of the different places that we visited. We did a drive round the islands and visited a castle. But before we got to the fairy pools, we were at a bridge. I'll put what the bridge was here. And I didn't take any video of it, but there was a bronze of this circle of mountains, and I was thinking, where is that? And it's the Coolins, and it is just incredible. And then when we got home, I found my dad's logbooks because I felt so inspired and was thinking, have I still got enough years on this planet to climb all the Munros? That would be a feat. My dad, I found his logbooks, and on the last page of the main kind of logbooks that he kept, I think he kept things in very shorthand after that, in little kind of paper notebooks after that, and I'm not sure if we kept those or not. But on the last page, it was, I've completed the last Munro, and it was one of the Coolins. So that was like really special to get back from that trip and see that moment where he'd completed. And there was just something very deep and connecting, which sounds really cheesy, but there really was. There's something awakened in me that was dormant before, and I was beginning to think about doing walks, and had got a bit inspired by hearing about people going on the Camino, and then this trip in Scotland made me think about doing the West Highland Way. And I am actually seriously thinking about doing the South Downs Way. I've even bought some walking boots, and I've bought a rucksack, and I'm working out the route and doing a list of equipment and working out when I can take time off work. It really has actually awakened something in me that I just wasn't entertaining before. So here is this video, and maybe I'll have slotted bits into this talky bit as well, and I'll try and do some voiceovers. are some.
can't come to Skye and not play your pipes.